Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I am your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
Guys, this week we will start talking about the Fellowship of the Ring. There was some Warhammer drama. We know most of our listeners came from when we did Horus Heresy and Siege Terra. So, Warhammer fans, shit happened. We're still listening, so we might as well talk about it.
I have no idea what it is, so you'll be listening to a live reaction to this drama.
I have a feeling you're gonna have the same reaction I had. It's gonna be, I don't give a shit. But yada
Oh,
yada
okay, I'm
yada.
interested.
um, before we get into the fun though, Gavin, what are you drinking?
Okay, I'm drinking some mead. I actually have like a shit ton of new mead right now.
Nice.
So I got some mead from a meadery at the beer festival. And then I just went to Gatlinburg and Savannah Bee Company was there. And Crafted, which we have to visit Crafted at some point, and it's
That
in Ohio.
oh, what the fuck?
And they make the best mead.
We're
It's
changing our
incredible.
bachelor party.
Going to Ohio. So this meat is made in South Bend. Perry Vine is the name of the meadery. This guy, he said he didn't even know what mead was. He was making wine for the longest time. Well, he was really making mead, but he called it wine because he just liked honey and they like drinking wine. And so let's try this. Like he kind of like reinvented mead.
One of those things you're like, man, I'm so fucking smart. And then,
And
dude,
somebody
that's been
told
around
him
for 500 years.
somebody told them, or I think it might have even been a legal entity, said, "Hey, you can't call this wine." So this is just their base honey wine, and like it's pretty fucking good. Like it's impressive. Definitely, I'd say like probably top three like best base meads I've ever had.
Fair. I, again, am blessed with my wife and her choices that she brings me for beer.
So good that she doesn't listen to the podcast.
It's the best thing in the world. Highly recommend not drinking anything I have that I've said my wife has picked out. So I have from Taxman Brewing, my least favorite cult in the Midwest. The No Sparge Imperial Golden Ale. Um, what does any of that mean? I don't fucking know. There's a thing here on the side for Sparge.
Is it dark?
No, it is not dark. It looks like a blonde and it tastes like a port. I don't know. It's fucking rough. But
That is
a
really weird.
sparge is to rinse or sprinkle. To run additional water through a partly or completely drained mash to extract more fermentable sugars. Hmm.
So that's a weird. I don't know about beer labeling very much. I just know what tastes good. But when I think of imperial, the only thing I've ever heard of with imperial is like an
Stout.
imperial stout,
Yeah, no, this is a imperial. What did I say?
gold.
Golden. It's gold. It tastes like a fucking stout though. It's tough, but I'm a
Hmm,
trooper. Mama
that
didn't
is really
raise
weird.
no bitch.
It's a tough one. You want to run through our how to get in contact with us?
Yeah, so guys, hit us up on the Discord. It's a lot of fun over there. We have a monthly book club. This month we are doing Red Rising. We haven't picked out next month's yet. Normally that happens after we've discussed this month's. Check it out if you just want to join the book club. No big deal. It's fun. We also have movie nights, hobby time. It's a good time. Find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. You can email us at theheresylodge at gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at Heresy Lodge. We have merch. I'm actually currently wearing an old shirt. Still waiting to get the transparent background to start the new merch with the new
It's
logo.
been a month.
Yeah,
We're
he's a
on
big
it,
Purdue
guys.
fan, and they were just in the finals, and that really took away a lot of things. And he lives in Arizona, so he went to the game. So I'll give him a little pass.
There you go.
um, but yeah, that's it. Check it out. It's fun. Just a bunch of people to hang out with. It's a good time. Gavin, are you ready to hear the Warhammer drama?
Lay it on me.
Games Workshop has decided
Mm,
they're all their powerful means that there
mm,
is female custodes.
mm, mm-hmm. I
Yep.
see.
And according to Games Workshop, they've always been there. This isn't new.
Yes. I remember reading about the female custodians.
Yeah, yeah, they were very prevalent throughout the Siege of Terra and the Horus Heresy.
Of
Were
course.
prevalent.
I
Yeah,
remember
it was that like there's that one, right?
that yeah, it was the one that was in the planet.
Maybe.
I thought that this was all now okay. Here are my thoughts on this whole ordeal. First of all, like I don't give a shit.
Same. I had the exact same. That's what I said. I think you're the exact same reaction I had.
Like, here's the thing. If they I totally understand that the Warhammer universe is a little too masculine. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. It's kind of ridiculous. Now, I don't think the solution is retconning all of your lore and then gaslighting your fan base into
Yes.
saying that
I
they always
agreed.
existed.
Like if I am totally cool with it, like whatever. But just say that like Call
There's
or whatever his name, like figured out a way to make it not just men. Like
yeah.
give us the first female custode. Like
Yeah.
don't just say, oh, they've always been there. You're just fucking idiots. We've never
Sure.
exclusively said men. Like, we'll point us out one that wasn't.
Like they're literally trying to convince you that the audiobooks
Oh yeah.
like that like he's like kind of making a girl voice there. Can't you tell?
You're just a super girly.
Like yes, there are entire articles about how space marines are exclusively male.
Yeah.
But the custodes guys, you idiots.
Yeah, it's just and of course there's like people in an uproar that there's a female custode, which more power to you, I guess. I don't know. It's fucking weird to have a weird hill to die on. But Games Workshop saying that just trying to gaslight you and be like, oh, they've always been there. It's just such bullshit.
That is, of course, classic. Yeah, I mean, like, look, there is an entire group of I believe that the group of people that play Warhammer and the people that are into the strong mommy fetishes overlap pretty drastically. I had to bet.
I could kind of see it.
Yeah, you're either
I mean,
in the
remember when you looked up
furry
Latara
dome,
Sarin?
huh?
So remember when you looked up Latara?
Yeah. I remember when I looked up Latara. I remember when I looked up Freddy Keeler and she was wearing like no clothes with a six pack out of nowhere, even though she was clearly written as just like this incredibly starved, frail woman.
No, she's fucking hot and strong, and she will
She,
smash your head with her thighs.
your fucking Shadow Son is like fucking jacked on those
That's
pictures.
true too.
I mean, I don't know. I think that's so silly of Games Workshop to do. Just make it like exactly like make it. No one would give a shit if it was like, hey, let's take a character that's a sister of silence, and she's going to, through some backdoor means, go through the Custodes process and become this like huge badass that saves this planet
Or
by
like
doing that, and then
a
she starts
Selenar.
with, yeah, or a Selenar, yeah, like actually make it a thing.
Yeah. You
I just
there's so many avenues that you could do this and do it well. And they're like, nah, dude, that's always been a thing. fuck you.
Cool.
You're just idiots.
This is why, man, like a lot of people are huge in our community are big fans of Warhammer, but I think very few people are big fans of Games Workshop. And it really, like, I think maybe for me and you, it wasn't just the time, but it's like that company sucks ass. And if I'm gonna spend my money, I really don't want to do it anymore with companies that suck ass. Like I'm gonna use capitalism to my benefit a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks 'cause, like I like Warhammer. Warhammer's a lot of fun, but it's also a fucking chore at the same time. And then
Yeah.
you have the company itself is just ran by a bunch of asshats that just change everything at a whim and then just tell you that you're just a fucking idiot. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. They constantly make decisions that not only just shit on their fan base, they constantly retcon things. They constantly make decisions that are opposing of each other. Like I've never seen a company, well, actually, I see it more frequently now, unfortunately. But they're like, hey, we literally design lore to be super ambiguous so people can run with their complete imagination on anything that could happen, but also don't make any fucking content about our IP with that imagination, you pieces of
You
shit.
put a fucking space marine in your background and I will fuck you to death financially.
But I want you to like think about that Space Marine in your background and then convince other people without showing them the Space Marine to buy Space Marines.
It's amazing.
We're going to sell plastic at absurd numbers because you'll buy it and then get furiously mad when other companies are selling a product that's really easy to make for less money.
You remember Warhammer Plus?
Oh boy, do I.
I have not heard of anything like popular coming out of that in a long time.
Turns out wasn't a great investment, and it would have taken a monkey with half a brain to tell you that.
Like, you could have just signed a deal with Netflix and let their studios do stuff that are all they do is crank shit out. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but hey, it's probably better quality.
I mean, we talked about this. Look at what Riot Games did with their
Yeah, with Arcane, it's
yeah, it's
fucking
fucking
awesome.
great, phenomenal. But
I don't
man,
know. I'm hoping. I hope that the TV show is gonna be really fucking good. But I also really don't want Games Workshop to profit a fuck ton off of it.
yeah, that's true. Like you are in such a weird spot as a fan
That's
base.
probably a good time to buy their stocks because it just plummeted because a female Custodes out.
Oh, did it really plummet?
Yeah, but hey, man, it'll jump right back up once Ender Cavalry. This is episode 1.
Classic, so classic.
We are now the Wall Street Bets subreddit. Come to us for all financial advice. I take a fee.
I mean, oh man, that just blows my mind. I mean, GW, it's such a terrible spot to be as a fan base where you're like, wow, I can't wait for the Warhammer TV show, but also I already know I'm gonna hate some aspect of it, and it's probably not the actual content.
Yep.
It's probably what GW is gonna do with it. It sounds fucking miserable.
Yeah, well, apparently, like, so Tacticus, the mobile game, like, the reason that, like, they can't just, like, come out with campaigns and stuff is because GW has to approve it first. Apparently, that's a fucking slow ass process, too.
Well, I'm
It's,
sure GW likes to. I still don't have the last book of the Siege, and there's like no fucking reason. There's no fucking reason. I try to think like, okay, maybe everyone's buying the last book because it's the last book. But like it's also a part of a three-part volume
yeah.
and no problems getting the other two. So so it's very clear to me that GW, and this is another shit, like I just can't stand I physically hate this. GW tries really fucking hard to create scarcity in their
They do.
product.
I could
It's
sell both my
gross.
limited edition books that I have for Angron and Karn for probably triple what I paid for them.
It's so
It's
gross.
because they made like 1,000. Why?
Yeah. And
Make
it's
shit to order.
with their fucking products too. This makes no sense to me. Mauler fiends become popular. And now you have 200 people that want to buy a Mauler fiend. Well, you sell them for 80 fucking dollars. So I feel like that's profit enough for you to go, hey, turn on the one forge that does Mauler fiends.
Yeah, I'm sure that maybe cost them $8 to make.
Yeah. I'm like, no, Mauler fiends are not a good example, but Vortex Beast is, I think, what I was trying to say.
I have a Mauler fan, man. It's super cool.
I mean, they're great. I love them. Like, how many people were wanting Vortex Beasts? And it was like, well, when are you guys going to make them? And they're like,
Well, fuck, when the rollers came out, trying to get 8 bound was hell.
yeah,
I had to go through 3 different websites to get as many as I have. I had to go through Warp Minis or Warp Fire Minis. I had to go
yeah.
through GW, and I had to go through Amazon
It's
to get
very
like 6
clear.
boxes.
It's very clear to me that like GW is focused very hard on like only releasing new miniatures.
Yeah,
Like 80% of their production has to be towards like combat boxes, and that's it. But their game does not align with that at all.
that and they don't give out enough either.
Yeah.
Speaking of new things, Emperor's Children are supposed to be coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are getting like their own little index.
Is
So they're
Fulgrim
coming.
coming out?
What?
Is Fulgrim coming out?
He's gonna have to, right? They have all the other ones.
I don't know. I just
I
built
mean,
Mortarion. I've got Magnus. You've got Angron.
I'll buy a
I
sexy
just
snake. I won't. I still only have Angron half built.
maybe I should buy the sexy snake then.
Look, man, I just need you to come over and build my shit for me and maybe paint them.
Well, you think how much you'd pay for him? It just come pre-built.
Honestly, that would be a lot more fucking convenient. Pre-build the shit and let me just paint it.
It's very like obvious to me that GW at one point said it's way more difficult to get new customers into Warhammer. So let's fucking abandon that entirely and then just try and sell slightly tweaked models with way better rule sets to the existing customers that we have.
I would spend slightly more money if it came pre-built.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like if a box was like $10 more pre-built, I'd buy that box.
Like pre-painted,
I don't even know if you need it pre-painted. Even just, I mean, primed, I think would be fine.
it's the worst part to me is the painting.
It, it's I think the hardest part, but I think the building is the most time consuming between cutting, gluing, fucking trying to scrape off all the extra bullshit.
I don't do any of that.
Well, you definitely fucking glue it.
No, I just kind of
Here
piece
is
it
the
together.
screw.
I piece it together
Figure
and
out the height from here.
it stays there. All right. So GW sucks ass. We can all agree to that. Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring.
So I'm really liking this book.
I like it too. I think it's written better so far than The Hobbit. I think the point of
Mhm.
views are way better. We're actually just in Frodo's point of view, and
Yeah.
it's just way easier to follow. Um, the first part of this book though was like 80 pages of just like the history of Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And I read that.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm a little behind.
some of it was interesting, some of it
It
not
was a
so interesting.
slog.
The history of the hobbits, I could have done without.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else was good. Now, remember when we were reviewing The Hobbit, and I talked a lot about how like he drew influence clearly from World War One.
Yeah.
Well, I feel bad for saying that after reading some of these notes. And I want to read a paragraph from the beginning of this book because I think it's one of the most well articulated points of like frustrations of authors. He said, other arrangements could be devised according to the tastes or views of those who are who like allegory or topical reference, but I cordially dislike allegory in all its manifestations and always have done so since I grew old enough and wary enough to detect its presence. I much prefer history, true or feigned, with its varied applicability to the thought and experience of readers. I think that many confuse applicability with allegory, but the one resides in the freedom of the reader and the other in the proposed domination of the author. So Tolkien was very against critics in particular that read his works and compared it to World War One and World War Two, which was what he was going through during the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And he was very adamant about saying, I just wrote a story. And he said, look, another part in this story, he said, I'm not going to say that my life didn't influence my writing. That would be insane. No one can say that. But I think it's more likely that me as a writer went through a war and you as the reader at the time are going through a war. So don't you think you're just trying to find that connection in the reading? And I think that's a really good point. And a lot of times books about war kind of seem like they're connected to a war.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So Tolkien pushed really hard on the aspect that he was just writing a fucking story. And that paragraph really made me think like how when we were reviewing all these authors from the Warhammer universe, like they probably just wanted to write a fucking story.
Yeah. I think that shows. I
Yeah, I
mean,
just
there was like 70 books and like 60 of them were shit.
none of yeah, the story was never concluded too, which was a bit
Yeah.
of a bummer.
Yeah. I also liked how like in like it's not I don't think it's an actual preamble, it's just like a about the series type of thing that like the reason why it's like split up, like it was supposed to be a one, but it talked about how like there were so many like printing errors that he was like, fuck that. It pissed him off like that, like things were just like wrong, like the way like things were spelled or like worded. He's like, that's not how it's supposed to be. So it's like, fuck it, we're cutting it up.
Yeah. It really and it goes to show too that like The Lord of the Rings was 100% Tolkien's passion project. Like he wasn't a paid author. He didn't have some sort of quota that he had to make. Like this is what he did for fun.
Yeah.
And I think that shows. Like he enjoyed what he did. I'd be really interested to read more. I know Tolkien did a lot of like criticism of work as well. And I wonder how pompous Tolkien got after The Lord of the Rings released, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like, he's almost like the grandfather of fantasy, really.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he influenced so much shit.
Well, one of those series that I know he criticized pretty heavily, and it was released not too far after Lord of the Rings, was Dune.
Oh, interesting.
hmm Yeah, Tolkien was not a fan of Frank Herbert's Dune, mainly because Tolkien's work is very cut and dry, like black and white. Like there is an
Yeah.
ultimate evil and there is an ultimate good. There's not a lot of redemption for characters, whereas Dune is literally about like the duality of man in a sense. And you have characters who are both good but doing bad things to achieve their goals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he like, well, it's kind of weird though, because like Gandalf is kind of like an asshole, right? But
And The
he's,
Hobbit for sure.
I mean, he might seem that way so far in the Fellowship. I'm not sure what I think of Gandalf yet,
Yeah.
but it's like you have Bilbo and Frodo who are kind of just these like super good people, and then you have Gandalf who just seems like an asshole, and there's a lot of selfishness in a lot of these characters, I think.
Yes, I think so far from what I've read, like Gandalf, it kind of seems like every single person is very scared of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're really pushing off what they have to do to other characters. And a lot of it does fall to, and I think we saw this in The Hobbit, it fell towards either Bilbo or Frodo to do them.
Yeah.
Mainly the ring is kind of a big deal here. Like Gandalf literally was like, I think maybe you should do it. That'd be too hard for me.
Yeah, Gandalf. I don't know how I feel about Gandalf as like a character. He's kind of just like an asshole, and I don't like. He's not really like that brave. He's not like I don't really know what his redeeming qualities are,
Mhm.
other than he's probably strong.
Well, he's considered, and I may be incorrect on this, but essentially Gandalf is an angel.
He
That's
sucks
why.
at it.
Yeah. I think he's more supposed to be like the concept of Gandalf is he was sent at first to fight the evil of I want to believe I think at the time it was Sauron. Like I think Gandalf came after Sauron's daddy Morgath. I think it was Sauron. And he all the wizards were sent. They were basically angels. They were selected by various different gods. And each of them were trying to rule over various different things, and Saruman in particular was like the person of order. Like he had to figure all the shit out. Like he was the guy that figured it all out. And Gandalf very much so became like obsessed and really interested in the people of Middle Earth instead of trying to be this like angelic being conceptually.
Yeah.
And so that's why he got really into the hobbits and smoking weed and hanging out with dwarves and getting gold and all this stuff. Like he became very human, compared from what I know to like Saruman, for instance.
I just wanna pause real quick. Like in my brain, I'm like, man, why am I feeling this beer so hard? This is a fucking 12% beer.
It's a 12% wine, dude. Like, get over it, man.
All right, I've had 12 ounces. What have you had? Like fucking one?
No, dude, that's about 12 ounces.
That is not 12 ounces. The whole fucking bottle is like 18.
Are you sure?
I think it's like 22, 23.
You think it's 750 milliliters. I'm not smart enough to do that math, but I'm
All right,
pretty sure that's
what's
like
millimeters
50
to
ounces.
it's millimeter to ounce? 1 millimeter is 3 ounces.
Millimeter? That's a
Oh, this is cubic millimeter.
distance. No, you can look up milliliters, not
Oh
millimeters.
shit, yeah, milliliters is very different.
This guy, yeah, you're really
Okay,
feeling
a
that beer.
milliliter is 0.03 of an ounce.
Well, do what's 750 milliliters then?
750 is 25 ounces.
Yeah, it's 25. I'm about there.
You have barely had any. You fucking
All I'm
lying
trying to
sack
say
of
is,
shit.
well,
I have drank half your bottle of meat of this beer.
how many cubic millimeters are there?
I don't even know what a cubic millimeter is. What is that? A three, a four, a
It's
five little number?
it's what if a cube had a millimeter on all sides. That's what a cubic millimeter would be.
What the fuck's a cube?
Oh my God.
Look, I am American. I do not believe in millimeters.
People are tuning in, Dylan, to listen to our views on a book. How are they supposed to listen to us seriously?
When we
If you
don't know what
know what
millimeters are? I agree.
this is important. This is important.
All right, guys. Look, we are very American. All right. We don't believe in that European bullshit metrics.
But we will read European books and play European games.
And we will
But
throw your
hey,
fucking European tea in the ocean, god damn it.
if Warhammer made us measure distances in millimeters,
You bet your ass I wouldn't play because I wouldn't understand.
now I don't play now anyway.
But if I did, god damn it.
I'd be like, what is this cubic millimeter shit?
This guy's got 6 mile movement. I'm gonna throw
So let's get started. Chapter 1.
them.
The Hobbits. They're throwing Bilbo a birthday.
Well, Bilbo's throwing his own birthday because that's how hobbits throw birthdays.
It's
They
true.
throw their own party and they give their own guests gifts, which is the shittiest birthday I can imagine.
I was reading that and I was like, I think I'm gonna make that a tradition in my house.
Your birthday's coming up. I can't wait.
No, not this year. Next year.
No,
I
no.
can't do
It
it this
sounds like
year.
I'm expecting a gift for your birthday.
I can't do it this year because my fiance just had her birthday. That wouldn't be fair. I want a gift from her,
Well,
and then
she should
next
have
year.
read the fucking Fellowship of the Ring. She would have had the same idea.
Well, now I'm at the all my birthday gifts have been purchased already. What am I gonna do?
You give them away. You say, "I'm sorry, this is not it is my birthday to celebrate for you for being in my presence."
They're intangible. I'm going on a bourbon tour.
Oh,
Come
you're taking everyone. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm taking everybody. I invited people to do. I'm very Hobbit-like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So he still throws himself a birthday. I didn't know this. This kind of blew my mind. Frodo is not a Baggins,
No, he's Bucky something?
but
Bucky Creek?
Brandy Buck,
Brandy Buck. Yeah, that's it.
which is Mary's. He's related to Mary.
Yeah.
But Bilbo adopted him. And there's two reasons Bilbo adopted him. He liked Frodo, and he didn't want to give his money to relatives he didn't like.
This is my biggest question. We know the history of Bilbo. He went on this grand adventure. You're telling me no Hobbit wanted to fuck that?
I don't know.
There, how was there not a significant other for Bilbo? You're telling me all them lazy fuckheads all were having children, but not Bilbo?
I've got
Bilbo
my
wasn't getting any?
I've got my theories, man. Bilbo was a rich man. Maybe Bilbo was gay.
I mean, maybe. I'm fine with that, but why did we not see? Maybe it's him and Gandalf.
Maybe Bilbo
Although
was
they did
like
talk about all the bunch of dwarves coming in now. Maybe it was with the dwarf. I don't know.
maybe
It makes sense, Hobbit and dwarf.
I'm just saying, like, I'm sure because look, the adventure part, the hobbits don't like adventures, but they love money. And
Bill
Bilbo
had a
was
shit ton of it.
swimming in money. And you're telling me not a single girl was like, oh, Mr. Baggins,
You can bag me, Mr.
can
Baggins.
I get some of that money?
Yeah, I mean, apparently he has like caves or shit. Like they had like imagine that he just has buried treasure everywhere in his
Yeah.
house. Which
So
we know, like the trip he went on, like was it really that much gold? I mean, he carried it on a pony.
well, I mean, I think like that's a lot of gold. He had two chests, and then he got
Like,
gold
how
from
big is a chest, right? Like, I'm imagining
yeah, like a chest like I'm thinking like at least 35 cubic millimeters.
I don't understand the math. What is a millimeter cubes?
I think that's a very small amount. That's a very small chest. I don't know.
God damn it, American public education.
But he adopted Frodo, and Frodo also is just not about the girls. It just kind of seems like if you're a hobbit and you have money, like you're just
Girls are
down to
bad.
fuck.
I'm okay.
You're just down to fuck exclusively.
But even then, I don't know. We have not had any sexual relations.
Not even between an elf and a dwarf. I mean, I really liked that.
We had a human bear guy have kids, and you're telling me
You
Bilbo
didn't
fucking Baggins couldn't have a child? Something sounds off to me.
I'd have Bilbo Baggins as a child. You kidding me? What's going on? I wonder if that was ever like a it was a conscious decision made by Tolkien, right? Because like he could very easily have been like, yeah, he had Frodo.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe he just didn't want to like.
Want the audience to think about Bilbo fucking?
Maybe, or like he didn't want like because like the woman would have to die in order for the inheritance to go to the kid. So maybe it was just easier for Tolkien to be like, all right, you just adopt someone and that person gets the inheritance.
Sure, sure.
Sounds like a cop out, Tolkien. Not that you can hear this.
I bet Tolkien, I bet you had a nasty ass sex scene written up and you decided, nah. So they have the 111 birthday party. And I don't know, like it was fun to read about, but like nothing really crazy happened. I mean, Gandalf comes, he's got his crazy ass fireworks. It's very similar to what happens in the movie, like almost to the T, except for the fact that Gandalf fights with the fireworks. Merry and Took are not Merry and Took, Merry and Pippin
Yeah, Pippin.
are they're not really involved. And Sam is not Frodo's friend in
Who's
the
this
beginning.
gardener?
He's Gardner. We knew Sam was a gardener, but it kind of seemed like they hung out. I didn't get any inclination of them ever hanging out. Like Frodo hung out with Merry and Pippin.
I really don't understand that like the Hobbit hierarchy because like Sam calls Frodo as like his master and stuff, but it's not like Sam's not like a slave. He was this he was this fucking gardener.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm really confused on the dynamic. I mean, maybe Frodo's a dom. I don't know.
I think that might be what's happening, dude.
It's I just don't understand like why like he calls like Frodo his master and like why he's like so like almost obsessed with Frodo.
I'm putting together some context clues, and
All
like
those
there's a
there might be
lot
some
of
fanfic
arrows.
written soon.
There's a lot of arrows pointing in a very particular direction. So, Bilbo puts on his ring as like a disappearing act, right? He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna leave all the hobbits now." Puts on his ring and leaves. And Gandalf knows about the ring.
He
I don't.
also his like speech and like how much he hates his family cracks me up.
He does. He hates every hobbit.
And I don't blame them. They're assholes.
They were fucking dicks because after Bilbo left, they tried to like break into his house to steal his shit. And Frodo's like, "Hey, this is like mine now, legally." And they're like, "Prove it." Why do you think it's yours, dude? Like,
What the fuck is wrong with all you people? Like we had like even like at the end of the Hobbit, right? Like his house is up for auction and like one of his family members like stole some of his fucking spoons. Shit's wild in the
he
Hobbit world.
gave them
Hobbit Town's weird.
spoons as his going away gift,
I
as like,
that cracked
fuck
me up.
you. It was very good. It was very good. Um, Tolkien does write some pretty good like situational comedy, I feel like, into his
Yes.
books. But Gandalf knows about the ring, which is surprising to me because I don't ever remember Bilbo telling Gandalf about the ring.
Yeah, because he wasn't there at the initial like telling of the story.
Yeah. So I would imagine maybe some other time Bilbo told Gandalf about the ring, and
In the
essentially,
movies, doesn't he like have us sit down with Gandalf and tell him like the story and not like all the dwarves?
I don't think so. I
I don't
don't
know
think
why
Gandalf
I had like a
ever finds out about the ring in the movies either.
weird.
But you do get the scene where like Bilbo's leaving and Gandalf's like, "Well, you're gonna leave the ring," and Gandalf has to basically interrogate Bilbo into leaving the ring. And
Yeah.
Bilbo just takes off. No one ever fucking sees him again, or at least the hobbits at this point. And the craziest difference to me, is like the span of time in between the scene that Gandalf's like, "Hey, keep the ring secret and safe, Frodo, but don't put it on. I'll be back," is like 12 to 15 years.
Yeah, it's a long fucking time. Like that's not like hold on to that for a minute. Like you just fucking like he like shows up like every like few months, I guess, and then like disappears again, and then like at one point it's just gone for like 6 or 7 years.
9 years.
Yeah, 9 years.
And like in the movies, it's like, yeah, I knew like it was a while because it shows him like riding to Osgiliath, which is like the city at the end of the
Yeah.
movies. And I'm like, oh, that's a journey. But I think maybe like 2 or 3 years. No, they did a whole lot more shit in between that time. Like I had no the stuff that happened. Gandalf, along with Strider, basically find, kidnap, and torture Gollum.
Yeah. You can find out everything from about Gollum.
That was crazy. And like he basically there was a whole like story of like the flashback between like how Gollum got the ring. So I think like Tolkien had that chapter planned out way long in advance. Like
Yeah.
and he wrote about that a little bit about how like he wanted to pursue the ring. So he thought first I had to figure out how Gollum got the ring. So that's what he wrote first.
Yeah.
But in the movies, it was I loved this scene because it went and like showed the flashback between the war of men, elves, and orcs, and how um Isildur doesn't throw the ring away. It doesn't actually show that Isildur in the books like had the option to throw the ring away. It's just like, yeah, and then he took it.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. 9 years passed. It's a big jump.
It is a big jump. And like Frodo, so like the coming of age of hobbits is 30, which is fucking crazy. And then Frodo doesn't really leave until he's 50.
Yeah, he's 50 years old when this shit happens.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah. I mean, they talk about all of these like almost any fantasy novel you read, the
Age
main
is always
character
weird.
is going to be in their 20s, like they're 15 to 22.
Yeah.
Anything older, it's like you're done.
Well, it's because everything's downhill. All right. Your
Yeah,
knees start hurting, your back hurts,
yeah.
your balls hurt.
You're at that point, once you pass 22, you're like the old wise guy that dies in the first book.
Yeah. Fair.
And this book, it's like, no, 50. So I'm waiting for 50. Everything else has already passed me up. I'm waiting to have to go to Middle Earth and deal with a Ring of Power.
Yeah. And so, like, if you've seen the movie, you know that, like, when Bilbo goes to leave the ring, he's like, keeps like trying to talk himself out of not leaving the ring. And that, like, that scares Gandalf, right? Because he's like, oh, the ring has power. But I never wasn't for sure it had power until you confirmed to me it had power. But maybe it had power after we fucked the golem.
We fucked the Golem, and then like Strider was up front and I was in the back, and Golem was
He spoke a lot after that.
all Shire Baggins.
Fuck the baggage. That's my ring. I found it in. Well, someone else found it in the water, but I wanted it, so I killed him.
Listen, Golem was hard to torture, but he talked a lot after sex.
Like all men do.
Uh-huh.
um, and yeah, like before like he leaves, like he tells Frodo, like, look, there's the ring. He does the whole like throw it in the fire thing, like all this shit. It's just like, don't use the power of the ring. I'll be back. See ya.
One of the things that I thought I knew, I don't know if this is the case in the books, but I was under the impression that Gandalf actually had one of the elven rings of power.
Maybe.
I think that's the case. I think it's him, Elrond, and Galadriel have a ring of power, but I might be wrong. It might be someone else.
I don't know. It makes sense.
I mean, he's not an elf, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
It talks about the
there's a
ring
lot of
race. It talks
controversy.
about how the dwarfs, they had 7 rings.
Yeah.
Sauron got 2 of them, and then the
But I
other
really don't
5.
understand why this ring is so powerful.
So the reason the ring is powerful is because when Sauron possesses the ring, he's able to control all of the other ring bearers. So when you think of, I mean, he can already control the humans.
Which makes no sense, right? Because whenever anyone has put on the ring thus far, they just become invisible.
Well, yeah, that's because when Sauron has the ring, that's when it unlocks that additional
Hmm.
power.
I become invisible and I whisper in their ears. Don't do that. Suck a stick.
Kill those people. Wouldn't it be like so funny? He was the deceiver.
He's
Makes sense to me.
licking in his ear.
God, what's happening? So, I, I fucked everyone up except Elrond. I just lick his ear every once in a while. It drives him crazy.
It's so long. I love it.
He's got such long ears. So it just drives him up the wall. I mean, like every like 10 years or so,
They're
he
so
thinks I'm gone.
sensitive. I love it.
He thinks I'm gone. I just sneak right up, look his ear, and walk away for another 10 years. He dies. I'm driving into insanity. But yeah, that's about as far as I got. Was when Gandalf comes back and explains all the shit to Frodo. And Frodo, I love the scene where Frodo's like, I don't really want to do this. So you should do it because you're like an angel. And Gandalf is like, you know, what he said was
You're
so
not
amazing.
wrong, but
What he said was so amazing. It was like such a gaslight movie. He's like, well, listen, this is what I think personally, Frodo. Just hear me out. I don't think Sauron knows about hobbits. Now, I'm like the only dude ever to like study hobbits. Like, even the hobbits don't know enough about hobbits
it's like
compared
Games
to me.
Workshop and female custodes.
Yeah, it's like just trust me.
They've always been there.
I'm pretty sure that the hobbits are vulnerable to the ring. What am I basing it off of? I know because I'm Gandalf. So you should take the ring because you're a hobbit. Wait,
You'll
so
be
you're
fine.
telling me Sauron just didn't know about hobbits when he made the ring? I don't think so.
You guys are like rats, but like kind of human. It's fine. They'll
Yeah, like
never know.
listen, I've spent years fucking with you guys. I once hired your uncle to go to a mountain and kill a dragon. What the fuck?
And it fucking worked out. I don't know what happened.
I allied him with a bunch of dwarfs.
And this shit worked. I don't know. Maybe I mean I am a fucking wizard, but who knows?
Trust me, I've studied hobbitology. I know Sauron had no fucking idea about the hobbits. Sauron, by the way, is also an angel.
Was he Sauron was also the necromancer, right?
Yes, that's another thing. The whole necromancer storyline from The Hobbit really came more so from the first 2 chapters of Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
where they defeated the necromancer, but he fled to Mordor. That's actually all it says. I don't,
Yeah.
there's really
I mean,
nothing else
it
to
was
it.
very implied that he was Sauron.
Yeah. And Gollum apparently was following Bilbo as he was making his way to the mountain.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And he's like eating children. It talked about how he would sneak into humans' houses and eat children. I was like, holy
What the fuck?
fuck. That's a it's so scary. And then like Gandalf was like, I ain't gonna kill you because you can be redeemed. I'm like, dude, he's been eating children. Like, I think you should kill him.
There's not very much redeeming coming from that.
That might be like the worst thing you could ever do. Like, I don't know if there's anything worse than eating a child.
Yeah, I'm very curious on how like Bilbo had the ring for 90 years,
Yeah.
give or take. Like so like we know like the movies when Frodo has the ring, like he's like getting fucking like sick and shit.
Yeah. Well, that's because he's getting closer to Sauron.
I'm curious on how that's done in the books.
Yeah, me too.
Or if it even happens in the books. Maybe it's just like
Frodo's
I'm
fine.
gonna fuck Sauron.
Frodo's like, God, Gandalf was right. Like his hobbitology studies really paid off.
I am so immune to this ring.
I mean, already you can see like Frodo isn't physically able to toss it into the fire of his fireplace.
Yeah.
And my thought immediately is like, Gandalf, don't you think that's going to be a problem when he's literally having to toss the ring into fire?
I mean, it's a volcano. Or, lava's like way, way cooler.
So Frodo would be like, this,
This shit's
I
gonna
don't,
be sick.
I don't want to throw it away, but I kind of see what's going to happen.
Look, man, it showed letters and fire. Imagine what's gonna do in fucking lava. It's gonna fucking it's gonna be fireworks. There's gonna be smoke signals. It's gonna be the shit.
Sam, how many cubic millimeters of lava do you think that is?
Listen, Frodo, I only know cubic milliliters.
Oh, cubic milliliters. Yes. How many cubic milliliters? At least two, Mr. Baggins. At least two.
More than 750. I know because this is 12%.
First off, I hope you know. Gosh. You know what? We'll just leave it at that. There's 750 cubic milliliters of wine in this bottle.
It's a very large bottle, maybe.
I just feel very sorry for your daughter and her education.
She will go to public school as well, so me too. It will be the
I
same
hope
public school I went to.
I hope she goes to her mother for math help.
If she goes to me, she's fucked. Honestly, if she goes to me for most things, she's fucked. I'm like, hey kid, look. I'm not the parent for this.
Maybe
If
when
you want to go fuck around, I'm the parent.
she
If
starts
you
reading
need to know
comic
something,
books.
go to your mom
Yeah.
or the Google.
Yeah. Or the Google. Go on the line.
Because I'm an idiot.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, we have either a lot to go through next episode, or this is going to be a three-parter.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're just gonna go as we go. We have plenty to talk about. Hang out with us if you're interested in Lord of the Rings. It won't take as long as Warhammer, that's for sure.
That is for goddamn sure. I mean, this one book is what, maybe 1.5 books
It's
the size of.
about it's about the size of The End of the Death, Volume 3.
Ooh, I like how that one looks. That's a nice looking one.
Yeah, I know. I got it's collector's edition and it comes with maps, visual aids.
There's been a few that I've like looked at getting. There's like one that's like actually just like all three books put into one that I thought
This
about
is
grabbing.
a map of East Gondor and Mordor.
That's cool. I really just love like how first of all, there's a fuck ton of different collector editions of these
Yeah.
books. But man, there's a lot of them that look nice.
I don't know, like depending on how much I really like this book, I'm gonna get a pedestal in my basement and try to like order like a massive one.
That'd be cool.
It'd be kind of
That'd
ridiculous.
be fucking insane, but I'd love
Yeah.
it. You can get Like I got you the little like movie show. We can get the other two movies. I mean, you can get crazy and get the Hobbit ones too,
Yeah.
and then just have boom
A shrine.
a shrine to Tolkien.
Did I tell you that I built another gaming table?
You told me that you started.
Oh, it's finished. It's 99% finished. I
What's
wood
left?
burned the symbols of the chaos gods into the table, and it looks fucking sick.
Yeah, is it at your house?
Yeah, I'll send some pictures in the Discord here in a few days when I get back home.
I'm intrigued.
It's fucking cool. It's kind of ridiculously large. I feel like a bit of a Bond villain. The play area is 5 by 7. There is no game in the world that is that large.
I mean, it has to be an improvement over the last gaming table you built.
Yes, it's all one. You can't take it apart. It's actually like I cannot like move it at all. It is very sturdy.
Is it as heavy as the pool table?
No,
The whole thing, God, because that pool table is a fucking menace to
we
society.
were, yeah, it is. We were able to carry it from the garage around and through the basement door.
Oh, it fit through the door.
Well, we had to turn it on the side and kind of angle the legs. It was like perfect. Like I tell you, it really fucking worked out.
It's one of those things you're like, how the fuck did this work?
And I like literally created the design for it like 2 days before on some scratch paper. I'm like, wow.
I can't wait to not play Warhammer on this table.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Man, I can't wait to play my first female Custodes.
That'll be one model, I'm sure.
Uh-huh.
That'll be a named character that no one ever heard of, and then like, oh shit, guys, we should make a book about this and how she's been around since the Emperor.
No one reads. Not a single fucking person will read.
You're probably right.
We won't.
Not for a minute. I
Not
mean,
for a
there's
while.
other Warhammer books I want to read. I would read before that anyway. Like I want to read the Night Lord's Omnibus. I want to read my Karn book. I want to read my Angron book. I had not reading the Lion book. Eisenhorn.
Eisenhorn.
Yeah, Eisenhorn. Gaunt's Ghost.
Yeah. Ren's World.
Wayne's World.
Is it Ren's World? Ren's World?
Wayne's.
Ren's World.
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
I think it's Ren's World. I don't know.
All I'm thinking is Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
All right, we better shut the fuck up before. I mean, everyone tuned out a long time
Well,
ago.
they're so gone. It's just us two now.
As always, guys, hit us up on Discord. Find that pin to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at The Heresy Lodge. Buy merch. There'll be new merch eventually. It'll happen when it happens.
Should probably wait for that, honestly. Maybe
Yeah,
not buy merch today.
unless you just really want to.
Yeah.
We'll accept it. That's it. You guys have a good one. We'll be back next week with more Fellowship of the Ring.